Hey everyone, it's Kim and welcome back to Bookmarks and Breadsticks. I have a special video for you today and it is all about essentially 12 hours in New York City. This is, maybe we can categorize it as a daily vlog or a weekend vlog, but Dan and I spent this past weekend, aka one day, 12 hours in New York City. So this trip came about because I have been waiting a long time to have a very specific tattoo artist tattoo something for me. Their name is Seema, and Seema is a queer Arabic tattoo artist. Why did I seek out a specific tattoo artist who's Arabic? Because Arabic and Farsi, which is my dad's language from Iran, are very close together in terms of spelling, conjugation, and so on. I wanted to get a tattoo with my family's last name on my wrist, and it was really nice to make sure that someone else could confirm the spelling. So I first learned about this tattoo artist Seema when I lived in Chicago, and it has taken over a year and a half to get on Seema's list for an appointment. And Seema actually moved to Brooklyn last year, and I thought, this is perfect. I live in Buffalo. It's a 45-minute flight to JFK in Queens, and I can go in, get this tattoo, and go out. And then Dan and I decided we'd make a whole adventure of it, and that's where you guys come in. I filmed our adventures throughout the day. You're not gonna hear a lot of actual talking footage because even though the mask mandate was lifted in New York, I think 2 days before this trip, we still masked up where we were asked to, especially in independently owned stores. So, you know, it is what it is. So you're going to hear a lot of voiceover throughout this video. 45, we make it to the airport at 7:10 and then land in JFK around 8:30 in the morning. We take a car, a Lyft to the city, and first stop is Ruby's Cafe. I don't know about you, but I normally don't eat that early before getting on a plane, so first it was all about coffee. I really liked the vibe of Ruby's Cafe. It was being pushed as an Australian cafe shop. They called breakfast brekkie on the menu, but unfortunately it took us over 40 minutes to get basically 2 plates of eggs and some sweet corn fritters. So it was a real downer. I was also getting very hangry, and we went to get breakfast first because the Strand opens at 10 a.m. on Saturday. So we had some time to kill, but it actually ended up pushing our plan for the itinerary for the day a little bit behind. But it's an adventure. I tried to go with the flow.
Books are usually you keep them in like a case or something. But
Yeah, so this is all food stuff. That's why I came over here.
boy, look at it all.
Now it's a lot of it's cookbooks, but this is all food related stuff. So are these books right here, and I'm very excited. we headed to the Strand. Beyond the tattoo, this was our one other big focus. If you don't know the Strand, it is the largest independently owned bookstore in New York with over 18 miles of books. There's 3 different floors and I love this place. I have been to the Strand a few other times when I've had to fly into New York City for work, but this was the first time Dan was going to experience the Strand. I honestly hope that at our 10-year wedding anniversary or vow renewals, I want to get married in the rare books collection, even if it's just him and I and a photographer. After we left the Strand, we knew we needed to take a subway into Brooklyn to go to the tattoo shop. So we did walk down the street, ended up finding Forbidden Planet. Now, I don't know a lot about Forbidden Planet, but apparently it is like a Forbidden Planet is a comic book shop, and it was fun to go inside. I love seeing the figurines. I don't collect figurines, but just seeing things like the Power Rangers figurines and He-Man. It reminds me of that Netflix show, The Toys That Made Us, and it felt really nostalgic being in there. The graphic novel section wasn't that big, but I did find Oishnabo, which is a manga series that I did read during the book buffet readathon last summer. So props to them for having a pretty nice, well-known food manga on their shelves, which is probably not the most popular thing compared to Naruto and Naruto's sequel, Boruto. So kudos to them for having a good foodie manga option. So then after the tattoo, we got lunch down the street at a little pizza shop that was recommended by the tattoo artist, recommended by Seema. And it was nice to just sit and hang out with each other. The garlic knots were not garlic knots. I'm a Long Islander and I'm gonna call bullshit on these garlic knots. They were more like bread puffs, super soaked in oil and a lot of garlic. A garlic knot has a very distinct shape, at least to me it does. Sound off below if you know what I mean about garlic knots. If you know, you know. Walked to the Meat Hook. If you don't know the Meat Hook is a famous butcher shop in Brooklyn, but unfortunately there was a line out the door, and as much as I wanted to buy a steak from the Meat Hook, I didn't know how on earth I would get it through the airport, because I should mention, Dan and I brought no bags. I brought my purse, he brought a backpack to put our books in that we purchased, and that was it. So not a lot of options there, but I'm really glad I got to see it, even if it was just from the outside. 2:30, 3 o'clock, and our plane was gonna board at 5:45. There was not a lot else on our itinerary, so we headed to the airport, where I got through 2 chapters of Hooked, a book that I am buddy reading with Danny over at Spinelli Speaks, and just listened to the audiobook in the airport. Then we boarded. We were home by 8:30 Saturday night, and that was it. That was 12 hours in New York City, which sounds insane. It was such a fun adventure, and I'm so glad that Dan was such a good sport and wanted to even come on that crazy of a trip with me. So I'm sure you're probably wondering, what books did I actually buy at the Strand? So I did get 5 books, and let me walk you through them. So I loved, I Lost, I Made Spaghetti, a memoir of good food and bad boyfriends. This is from 2009, and I got it for $8 at the Strand. Julia lives in Brooklyn, and she's the former VP of PR for Harper's Magazine, and also worked at Spy Magazine, Atlantic Monthly Press, Viking, Dutton, and Scribner. So that she works in the industry, and honestly, the cover and the title was all I really needed to pick it up, but let me read the back cover for you. When Julia Malucci moved out of her family's Brooklyn home, she dreamed of finding the perfect guy, but fresh ingredients proved scarce. After years of dating, she found herself with a heap of tempting recipes she used to both seduce her men and to console herself when her relationships ended. From calming coq au vin to spaghettinini in white truffle oil Pignard. I think that's a wine. I don't know what that word meant, sorry. From the hipster aged well past his sell date to not one, but 2 novelists with Peter Pan complexes, I Loved, I Lost, I Made Spaghetti will make you laugh, cry, and get cooking. Recipes are included. So staying on the memoir train, I did pick up Nobu by Nobu Matsuhisa. Nobu is a very well-known restaurant. Nobu's influence on food and hospitality can be found from the highest levels of haute cuisine to the food trucks you frequent during the work week. This is the Nobu that the public knows. But now we're finally introduced to Private Nobu, the man who failed 3 times before starting the restaurant that he would grow into an empire, the man who credits the love and support of his wife and children as the only thing keeping him from committing suicide, yikes, when his first restaurant burned down, double yikes, and the man who values the busboy, who makes sure each glass is crystal clear as highly as the chef who slices the fish for sushi perfectly. What makes Nobu special and what makes him famous is the spirit of what exists on these pages. He has the traditional Japanese perspective that there is a great pride to be found in every element of doing a job well, no matter how humble that job. Furthermore, he shows us repeatedly that success is as much about the perseverance in the face of adversity as it is about innate talent. Very excited. This has been around for years. It's always on. I found this actually on the shelves at the Strand of books recommended by the staff, and I've always seen it around, and I just really wanted to finally grab it. And even though this book was published years ago, it still comes in at full price. It came in, it was published in 2014. You're still paying full price for this because it's such an important book. So they say, apparently. We'll find out. Third memoir, Bon Appetit, a coming-of-age story with recipes by Amelia Morris. This was definitely because of this cover. Look how pretty this cover is. When Amelia Morris saw a towering beautiful chocolate cake in Bon Appetit and took the recipe home to recreate it for the Christmas Day brunch she was hosting, it resulted in a terrible but tasty mess that both had to be served in an oversized bowl. It was also a revelation, both delicious and damaged. It seemed a physical metaphor for the many curious and unexpected situations she found herself in throughout her life. From her brief career as a 6-year-old wrestler to her Brady Bunch-style family, minus the housekeeper and the familial harmony, to her ill-fated 20-something job at the School of Rock in LA. As a way to bring order to the chaos and in search of a more meaningful lifestyle, she finds herself more and more in the kitchen, where she begins to learn that even if the results of her culinary efforts fall well short of the standards set by a glossy food magazine, they can still bring satisfaction and sustenance to her family and her friends. So I have 3 different memoirs. One is the chef memoir, one is a woman dating through, let's say, her 20s and 30s, and another is a coming-of-age story. I don't know why, I always gravitate towards food memoirs. They're just so fun and relatable. Fourth book I got is in the food history section, and it's all about candy. A Century of Panic and Pleasure by Samira Kawash. I also am just charmed by this cover. And also, candy is not something I actually read a lot about or even know quite a lot about. Now, I definitely have read books about fluff, Fluffernutter, and I've read some books about candy making in general, but I've really never thought about the history of candy. I've learned about Twinkies before, so I'm excited to dive into an area of the confectionery world that I don't think gets explored nearly as much in food writing. And again, I don't know if that also trickles down to the fact that you see many more books about restaurants than you do about pastry shops, or that the chef usually has more prestige than the pastry chef or the baker. I'm not quite sure why that still exists, other than it's derived from sexism, where men as chefs had more respect than the women who were baking. But I hope to see that change. I know Christina Tosi's memoir, and she is the mastermind behind Milk Bar. Her memoir comes out in March. I did pre-order it. So I'm hoping to see more pastry chef, bakery memoirs come out in the next couple of years. Hopefully the tides are turning, but I digress. I'm very excited to learn about the history of candy in a century. And now finally, a more contemporary book about the food system, Stuffed and Starved, The Hidden Battle for the World Food System by Raj Patel. And this is a revised and expanded edition. It also just came out in this paperback, which I really love. This book's been around for a little while, but it is a revised edition, and I'm pretty excited to read it. Stuffed and Starved gives an up-to-the-minute detailing of how the world has perversely come to have over 1 billion people starving and even more people that are overweight. To find out how it got to this point, New York Times bestselling author Raj Patel launched a worldwide investigation into the global food network. It took him from the colossal supermarkets of California to India's wrecked paddy fields, to Africa's bankrupt coffee farms, and, in the fully revised edition, to some of the biggest issues of the day: land grabbing in Africa, spikes in diabetes rates worldwide, dramatic new Chinese food policies, climate change, and the return of the food riot. In the end, Patel still finds great cause for hope in international resistance movements working to create a more democratic, sustainable, and joyful food system. Going beyond ethical consumerism, Patel explains from seed to store to plate the steps to regain control of the global food economy, stop the exploitation of both farmers and consumers, and rebalance global sustenance. I am really, really excited to have the revised edition. This thing is just full of information. It comes in just over 300 pages, plus all of the works cited at the back. And the fact that people, really well-known names like Mark Bittman and Michael Pollan both have given blurbs to this book means that there's a level of endorsement beyond the fact that he's also a New York Times writer. So I am super, super excited to read this. So there you go. Those are the 5 books I got from the Strand in New York City. And this was one day, 12 hours in New York City as a vlog. I hope you enjoyed the journey. Let me know in the comments below, have you been to the Strand? Did you know you could get married in the Strand? And which of the 5 books I purchased are you most excited to see me review here on this channel? Don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.